I
All
played some
right.
Stabbing Westward
Yeah.
last week for my DJ gig.
Sweet.
Right.
Experiencing stabbing westward in Tennessee, right?
Well, so that crowd, the format would be better off as like an open format because we're doing like industrial rock and that kind of stuff. And I went back to basically the 90s to stuff that they would remember because
Nice.
I don't think they're into industrial, but they like that stuff. They like Nine Inch Nails and
Yeah, yeah.
Alice in Chains and stuff. It basically turned into like a rock set.
Hmm.
Well, speaking of all those bands, we are here on today's live stream to do what we wanted to do last week, but had technical difficulties. So we got all that sorted out, and we are going to play the full vinyl version of my new album, Re-Render Me, which just a little backstory is about a friend of ours, Shane here, and I went to high school with this guy, and when he was 19, he killed himself, and he had kind of a robotic uh, affect, let's say, and I had told him, you know what, someday I'm going to write a concept album about you, and so I'm now fulfilling that promise. A little late,
Well, but
25.
that's
Fulfilling Jeff's prophecies too.
Yeah.
He told us about Lisa a long time ago.
So 25 years later, and the album is finally out. So we're gonna play it for you now and kind of talk about it as we go. So
yep.
with no further ado, I will share. And begin. Here we go.
All right.
Same shit, different day. Feel like I'm running on autopilot. Why is there never anything good on TV at this time of night?
Local news, a controversial treatment for depression has crawled out of the shadows of the dark web, claiming to make you into a better version of
At least
yourself.
has nothing to do with it.
Critics say this circuit
What's the
So wait, you put this video together, right?
Yeah,
Yeah?
Okay.
in a week.
Nice, nice.
Huh. That might be something I could try.
I didn't really put much here visually. I was
Just to see what they have to say.
still messing around with the program.
Track Lisa.
But
Oh yeah.
so this is just like a skit intro that sets the tone for the story.
Mhm. You might want to, Casey. You might want to turn your mic down just a hair, because with the headphones,
Tired of being
it's
me.
the
Not really convinced
the earmuff
this is
effect where it's kind of loud.
How's that?
Yeah, it could go up just a
That's
little bit.
convincing, I
That good?
guess.
Yeah, that should be good.
Okay.
Tomorrow? Okay. See you then. I will.
Did you see that? How
The night to think
the
about
hand-drawn comic I did? It's like animated with AI. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
that's cool. Video production using AI is so much more like robust nowadays.
Yep.
Like you can cut out a lot of time wasters.
Yeah, I'm starting to lose a little bit of interest, and now that it gets to look a little more realistic,
Mm-hmm.
I like
Makes
the
sense.
artificial aspect of it.
Well, I think you can still keep that aesthetic if you want.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's true.
But like, there's so
But
many
for
times where-
other people's work, they're trying to basically make stuff that looks real.
yeah.
Mm.
Oh, it'll definitely get there. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
getting
almost
harder
there.
to tell.
Yeah.
So this song is kind of like a dream, where he's kind of just dreaming of becoming a cyborg.
I like the vibe of this.
That's nice.
This song got a lot of good feedback from purveyors of the music industry, actually.
Yeah, it's a good way to open the album, I think.
Yeah.
You do good with video. You really do good with video. I've seen,
Oh, thank you.
like even before AI, you did good stuff with it.
Oh, hi, Victoria.
Oh yeah, I lost my pop-out chat. There we go.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a different one since we're not really discussing anything per se.
Yeah, I mean, stuff will come up.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm wondering because from my end, I'm just seeing you kind of like in the corner, overlaid over the video, but I don't know if it's like camera switching.
That's me. I'm in the video.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome, dude.
This shit gets so much better later in the album. Like,
I can
you'll
tell
be
you had a
blown
lot
away.
I can tell you had a lot of fun putting this together.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong though. It was a shit ton of work.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know.
Even
Some of the
with
videos that
AI,
I've done,
seems
it's like
I worked harder on it.
Yeah.
like when I put together videos, the same thing. It's like I think, oh, this will be easy, and then pretty soon it's like the sun's coming up, and I'm like, ah, shit.
What do you use for video editing?
VSDC.
What's it
Yeah.
called?
VSDC.
I don't know if I've heard that one yet.
It's
But-
it's kind of a indie video editor, and like it's free, but there's certain features that you might want that you have to pay for. Oh, here I'll add. There you go. It's
Now
and they're-
for this video, I use Wondershare Filmora though.
okay, yeah. But our general stuff we use VSDC for.
DaVinci Resolve is really good. It's a free
It is.
program too.
It's pretty resource intensive though. Is my only.
It is,
gripe.
yeah. I think it's good for small videos,
Yeah.
and Filmora is really good for, if you're making a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
What a nightmare. I'll see what Lisa thinks.
So this one I had previously made, and I just plopped it in there.
It's Jeff.
But
Hey,
It's too late, Jeff. It's over.
but Lisa, there's this. Lisa?
I still think that's such a cool animation.
Yeah, it is.
Write her a good old-fashioned letter. Dear Lisa, you make it hard to breathe.
This is the Stabbing Westward cover for people that aren't familiar.
Oh, so does this go throughout every song in your album?
Everyone on the vinyl version, yeah.
Wow, dude, that's cool.
Yeah. I always wanted to make like a full comprehensive, kind of like Pink Floyd did with The Wall.
Yeah.
Because Jeff loved Pink Floyd, so,
Yeah, my videos, I try to tell a story, but, it gets real monotonous because it goes on for 2 hours. But when you have lyrics and songs to go into an exact concept album, it makes a lot of sense to do videos like this. It's awesome.
Oh yeah.
And it kind of synchronizes with the music too.
Yep.
Filmora has a beat sync that you throw in your clips and it will sync that to the music. Pretty
really?
accurately. Yeah.
Wow. Huh. Wish I knew about that.
Could have
Did
saved
it the
yourself.
hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not as good as you doing it yourself.
Yeah.
It saves a lot of time though.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I tell you, it's pretty cool to hear this on the vinyl, like that nice warm sound. And,
Oh man, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it.
Oh, so you're playing this off the vinyl?
well, this is on my computer, but it's the vinyl mix. Like, I used
okay,
all.
yeah.
I use like because you master it a little bit differently for the vinyl. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a good there's an easy plugin called, it's just simply called Vinyl, and it's made by Isotope.
Oh, okay.
And you got presets on there that can make your vinyl sound a little bit more like the 90s, a little bit more like the 80s,
Oh, wow.
70s. Yeah, it's really cool.
That's cool.
Huh.
Man, the 80s, dude. There's nothing like the 16-bit. Like,
Yeah, this is cool. I love this. With the grain and the you know, kind of like the CRT effect a little bit.
Mm. This Lisa's voice. That's my stepdaughter.
nice. Yeah, I didn't even know that you made a video.
Oh, really?
The whole, yeah, I had no idea. So that's cool. Yeah, I just thought we were gonna just sit there and like listen to audio, but like this is much better actually.
Yeah, I figured there should be something like visually engaging for the audience.
Rather than just looking at our ugly mugs, right?
Right. Yep. So this song was basically put in there to, you know, show the inner turmoil and what can he do to get her to love him, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So now he's going to see the doctor,
Okay.
Dr. Preim.
What can
Prime.
you do about this? Her name is Lisa. I don't care what the fine print says. Just do this. I want it done now.
There's some really good choices of video clips there. I do like that.
Yeah.
It's hard to find stuff that like exactly fits what you're looking for.
Definitely.
That's one of the things when I'm putting together videos, like I end up wasting so much time trying to find just the right thing.
Yep.
It's like, maybe AI video is the way to go.
Yeah.
It's like, well, there's certain visual things that like, oh, I have an image, like an idea in my head of what it should be, and maybe nothing like it has ever been recorded or uploaded or anything like that. And it's like, well, what do you do then?
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get real good with prompting. And
Yeah.
then you're still dealing with the limitations of how the AI interprets the prompt and what it can do with its art style. But
Yeah.
it helps to basically start with an image and then convert that into video.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the aesthetic that you want, it's easier to come up with that in an image first
Makes
and then
sense.
put motion to it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I haven't really messed around with video, like generative AI video, that much, so. Got another message there.
Oh, hey, Corey.
Good morning, Corey.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't believe I did this whole thing in a week.
Well, not the album, the video.
But yeah, the video.
Yeah.
The album took 20 years.
Yeah, we need to clarify that. If you had done the entire album in a week, dude, that'd be like, what kind of like meth were you on?
The Breaking Bad stuff.
Yeah. Oh man. It's interesting listening to like the evolution of music like over time, because I remember I was just thinking this morning about how back in like what was it 2001 we were using a modem to send files, and I was rendering and burning them to CD and stuff, and the sound, like the kind of music that you were doing back then, it's like I can still hear some of that in this stuff, even though it's much more evolved.
Yeah. Well, some of these songs I did write back in like 2005, 6.
Yeah.
And I've just, updated them.
Yeah.
Now this is a little skit basically explaining this track, by the way, is called Genetic Flaw, like me. This is explaining that there's like a little bit of a problem in Jeff's DNA that makes it so his emotions aren't really going to be what they should be,
Yeah. Oh, we have a comment here. You want to read it, or I mean, it is your album, so.
Oh, yeah. As a different type of artist, there's a different type of power in art composed within limits. There is a certain degree of human creativity that is dependent on bouncing off the limitations. Well said.
I wholeheartedly agree that like, there are people today still making Atari 2600 cartridge games.
Oh, wow.
Today.
Including Atari themselves.
Yeah.
Atari,
well,
they make the actual cartridges for some of their games.
Well, like
new games.
Yeah.
And
it's like you look back and you think that thing that was so limited, but like you can create some amazing stuff. And I don't know. I kind of like working within the confines of something that doesn't have all the tech and the advancements that we have.
Yes.
Like I have an old,
to be more creative.
Yeah, I have an old Mamiya 16 millimeter camera, like a little spy camera, I guess you could say. And it's crappy. It takes crappy pictures, but you know what? The pictures are really cool. It's like, there's something about that roughness that's really charming and appealing. And yeah, it's like working with black and white film or using like, I don't know, old tech, that simple things. I don't know. I do like it. That's interesting. Okay, I like that transition. That's really cool. Like, yeah.
So yeah, he's just trying to come to terms with not feeling exactly the way he was explained he would, and now he's getting some additional upgrades. This part's really cool.
Who did this to him? Scientists?
Yep.
He's a part of a
Is my video working?
experiment.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just yeah, it seemed like it wasn't.
I'll be like this forever. So this is it. Do it.
Jeff, you're great.
I'm just
Just not great for me.
Even after all who I've become for you,
I didn't ask for that.
I can't believe this. Is there never anything I can do to make you love me?
Jeff. It's over.
Is Jeff the world's first Neuralink patient? That went horrifically wrong, and we have not heard the backstory until today.
Right. Yeah, I should rebrand the circuit as Neuralink.
Wasn't like this album kind of kicked off to some extent as far as like your drive to do it by that Control-Delete song that I wrote?
Oh, that song was great.
Yeah, I mean,
I remember you were like, "Oh, I felt inspired to work on this more."
that is possible, yeah, because that was all around the same time I wrote some of these songs. Yeah.
Well, I think, of course, we were originally going to do a concept album around this together.
Yeah.
And then I think it made more sense for you to just do your own thing that's more personal.
Yeah. Now, like Control-Delete, and there was a handful of other really great songs that totally fit with this album when we were doing it as a band. But yeah, like, because of such personal nature of the story and everything, this kind of made more sense. So I pulled in some other songs and adapted them to fit the story, and now I kind of think it would be cool to take those songs that we put on the shelf, some of yours, some of mine, and do like a prequel as ALTAiR.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
You know, lots of course, like every band has done a music video, but I don't think anybody's really done a music album or a video album, you know?
Right, yeah.
Music video album. Just one continuous.
Yeah, that's true. The Wall was like a movie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was a movie. And as far as like a compilation of like music videos, like I don't know if there's been a band that made a video for every one of their songs to present the storyline. Like especially in progressive rock, nobody's done that.
Not even Queensryche, huh?
No, I don't think they made videos for all of their. I wanted them to do more on Promised Land.
Yeah.
With their videos, like because of IMI and the way that they did that.
Yep.
But it was a lot more expensive to make music videos back then.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm hoping that now that you can make music videos real cheap, that it'll go back to being more creative.
Oh, this is the turning point in the story where shit starts to get real.
I can't move. Only when I command it. This is the fine print you skipped over. Let me go. Not yet. It's time you went to sleep. What are you doing? No.
It's taking control of Jeff's body.
My hands around her precious neck. I'm sorry, Lisa.
I'm definitely not good at drawing, but I did my best.
Jeff?
Well, there's a certain aesthetic to it that definitely fits.
Lisa! No! What have you done with me, Preim? You killed her. Instead, it was your hands that were around her neck.
That's pretty cool. I like that. That's actually a very good transition there.
Yeah.
Really well done.
Remember that picture?
Oh, yeah.
Thought that was a good vengeance picture.
Oh, for sure.
That guitar sounded so cool. Like,
Yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome.
You guys know that Ministry song Stigmata? And that guitar, it's all bendy and stuff. And it's not really, it wasn't played on a guitar. It was a synthesizer that did that.
Wow.
That's cool.
And it was the pitch slider on the synthesizer that gives it that bendy sound. So it's purely electronic, but the guitar was sampled.
Huh.
Cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, I did some like synth stuff that was meant to sound like guitar, but there's also actual guitar in here. Like sometimes you can't tell which is which, you know. Like
That's a good thing, you know?
Yeah.
I like that.
Well,
We have
Gary
some
Newman's
comments.
the king of that. You can't tell. It's hard to tell what the difference between synth and guitar on a lot of his stuff.
Very welcome to Occult Vibes.
I like that there.
Tell me what you want, I'll tell you how to get it. Tell me what you want, tell me how to get you. Oh. I'm not familiar with that one. That's cool.
What were you reading?
Oh, comment on the live chat.
I don't see any of that. Well, let me see. Hold on.
You'd probably have to have the YouTube live stream up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I chose to release this song as a single. It didn't get such great feedback, but I was personally very proud of it. I don't know. Because it starts off mellow, it gets heavy, and then it gets all like beautiful and melodic, so I think that's cool.
Is this being streamed on Kitchen Sink's page, or?
Yeah.
Life everlasting. I never asked for this. No, and worthless. I never asked for this. Cast out from society. Useless, left to waste. Revolution ground to
That symbolism there, I'll get you into some trouble. The noose, well,
Yeah.
that's on the YouTube. I think that's there's a bit of a delay.
Yep.
amazing that I've lived this long.
Yeah, this is about 20 seconds or something, I think.
Amongst the living,
Yeah, I cannot get enough
those who still have
stormy imagery. Stormy oceans, stormy forests. I love that stuff.
Yep.
rewritten code. Expiration.
So I originally wrote this song in like 2006 or something, and it just did like 3 verse chorus verse things with a little like synth solo, and I was never super happy with that, so I decided right here to like break and make a total change for the outro.
Nice.
A lot of harmonizing. Brian Wilson, love you, man.
I think what I love the most about this particular video, the way you put it together, there's a broad variety of texture.
Yeah. Sprinkled in little bits of the comic book, of course, from the exclusively on the vinyl version. And we have I guess I should plug, we have a little link here for a product. I'll sign a copy and send it to you. So
Take control of his subjects remotely, but he underestimates my intelligence.
You know, shipping is like way cheaper out of Germany. When you're shipping vinyl, a lot of bands will ship everything out of Germany.
Oh, really?
Than shipping out of North America, even.
No, it's more expensive. Huh?
Right. Yeah, it's
The upper hand.
But the funny thing is, like,
Complacency.
Europe is not into vinyl as much as the Americans are.
Oh, wow.
They prefer CDs.
Well, at least not now. I find that I go looking for older vinyls. They don't exist in the Americas. They exist in Europe. Like a lot of the old stuff that I've ordered, it's like, yeah, you can only find a vinyl version of this album overseas.
Yeah, they had like a thing back in the 80s where you had to be licensed on an American record label to sell your products in the United States. So sometimes they would partner with a US label, but if they didn't go and do that, then it was basically a release that only existed in Germany, Sweden, or wherever, and you only can get it from Europe. I have a lot of stuff like that I get from Discogs.
Discogs, man, that's the place.
Yeah, I found stuff that I never thought I would get my hands on.
Same here. Yep, it's a great place. We got a few comments here.
Dogmatics. Oh, wow. Is that BA?
EA?
Holy shit. I haven't seen you in a minute. Take a glimpse into my sick mind with the rest of us. So this is where Jeff kind of huddled himself away in like a natural Faraday cage so he wouldn't be controlled by Preim anymore. And he starts working on his own brain to like break the programming.
Awesome.
And also kind of installs like a secret weapon for the final showdown.
Cool.
Yeah, there's just a sliver of hope for Jeff. So we find out that AI writes its own code base and updates him with that only AI can understand. So you can't reverse the damage.
Cry to me.
So this next one is actually
Good friend,
Jeff's
you bastard.
suicide note,
Kindred spirit.
but I modified it a little bit. But
Oh, you actually incorporated the
Yeah.
real thing? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's heavy, dude.
Try not
Yeah.
to see this again. Try
Man.
to understand.
Look like
My entire
you got
life I've been in exile.
coming down with the case of the black shakes.
This is the final
Some of
step
these,
the process.
some of these clips.
I used to get some smug satisfaction out of
Black
life.
shakes is not
Even
something
that
you
has
want
been
to have.
Overtaken by an overwhelming sense of apathy. Or is it underwhelming? The only reason to live is to have fun. But what if nothing is fun anymore? Possible now to sustain any feeling, much less a positive one? I wish I could breathe through life, but I can't.
it was kind of a heavy choice to make. Yeah, like
I get
something that personal,
day
but
is
it-
habit.
it fit. You know.
Well, I think actually, I didn't even, that's actually a brilliant inclusion.
Hmm.
Because, I mean, all this whole entire album and the story kind of centers around that. So
Yeah.
that's
I want
pretty
to
cool.
change the world for the better. How can one man have a significant effect on anything? It's pointless. That's why I've leveled my
that had to have been really hard to read that, like, do the,
Yeah.
will make a
man.
difference. I stand before this world. Completely distant.
I wonder, actually, like, if you could go back in time with this album and give it to Jeff,
All right.
like, would it have changed the outcome?
Oh man. I would hope so.
But then you're running into causality issues where, like, maybe you
Then
wouldn't
the
have
album would
written the
never have been
album.
written. Yep.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something though. This is the penultimate song here for the vinyl. But the very last song coming up next, when I was working on this video, man, that shit made me cry. Like, but you'll see why.
Well, yeah. I've always liked this song.
Yeah. I remember an early mix of this song, Shane. You had played at one of your DJ gigs in Tacoma. And
Yeah,
people
was
were
that
like,
Taboo?
yeah, at Taboo. Yeah.
Yeah.
And people seemed into it. So this bass line here, it was like, everyone was like, yeah.
Yeah, this version is
Yeah,
a little bit
Mechanical
different than
Outlaw.
the original.
Yeah. It's much heavier.
Yeah, a little more refined. Still, like, I go back and, because I have a bunch of your early stuff on my drive and stuff. And I'll go back and listen to that, and I'm like, yeah, those were still good in their own way too.
Yeah.
You are all you have left. Your one and only friend. The father of circuitry. Mantronic till the end.
Nice.
There's no God to judge me. No devil to push me. Not even you.
Hey, at least it got 5 fingers this time. Every time I tried that, I attempted that. The hand coming up out of the ground.
The robot
The eye
drummer.
would come out with 6 fingers, 4 fingers.
Yep.
Oh,
I think
dude.
some of these are stock footage, but
Yeah, AI definitely struggles with hands and feet.
In text, and that surprised me.
Oh,
Mhm.
text. Well, actually, Casey and I did a video about, like, talked about that at one point in time.
Until nothing of you remains. And I can wipe them out with a thought.
Biff.
Come on, brain your
That riff right there. This song actually began with me trying to do a Slayer cover, and I morphed it into my own riff. So that's, I think, South of Heaven, like modified.
Wow. You like the MIDI files, replace some of the sounds with synths. That'd be kind of cool.
Get it over with. Oh no. I'll take my time with this one. Time to meet your maker.
Robot
drummer. Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is the end song.
the final song.
Okay.
I put a lot of emotion into this one, drawing from my own suicidal thoughts and stuff. AI gave me hair.
I don't think I've seen you with hair that isn't long. So that was kind of a trip, actually, seeing that clip there.
It actually made me look a lot like you.
Yeah, that's weird. Well, people always mistake us for each other in vocals.
Yep.
So, there's a little bit of David Bowie in that, dude.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. I'm getting that vibe. That's cool.
Okay, in like 30 seconds, you'll see what made me cry. Dude, Shane, you're probably gonna cry too.
I was crying seeing Ozzy yesterday. He's shaking in his chair. Michael J. Fox looked better than him.
Yeah. Here it comes.
Oh man.
Oh, dude.
Fleabane.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
That looked so
Jeez,
fucking real.
Dude.
Yeah.
That was just a photograph of Jeff. And
Oh man. And it put
Yeah.
motion to it.
yeah, and I was like, ah! Like,
Oh
What
man.
program was it that did that?
that was in Wondershare. Filmora. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. It has that. The
Mhm.
AI tools. That's really good for, because it's not
Yeah, like it's as if it knew what he.
like a keyframe or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was crazy.
Wow. Dude.
Maybe we can make Jeff come back to life. We could train an AI. How many? Do you have a lot of pictures of him?
I mean, not a whole lot.
You have maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah. And that is the album. There's a
Wow.
longer version for the CD, but yeah, that's the story.
That's pretty good. That's really good.
I
I
would
mean,
hope
that's
after 20 years.
Yeah. Well, and it's very cohesive.
Hmm.
There's a certain flow, and I mean the video certainly helps with that. But yeah, man, wow, it's good work, man.
Thank you. Yeah, that was it feels good to have it done and off the plate. But yeah, like doing that video kind of to culminate everything, that was really like an emotional journey. Um, yeah, that was especially that last one. Holy shit.
Oh geez, that's quite the way to end it. I'll
Yeah.
say that. Like,
Yeah. And
ooh.
I made the video like chronologically. So I started from the first song and ended there. And that was like all the emotion culminating in that last video, and recorded myself singing it and stuff. Like um yeah, that came from the heart. So
I can tell. I can tell. Hmm.
Are you okay? Annie, are you okay?
Hmm.
I'm good. I'm good. But yeah. So if you like the album, or if you just like me and you want to support my 20 years of hard work, there's a link down there. There's a few different links depending on what you want to. If not everyone has a vinyl player, so
If not, why not?
right?
Everybody should have that.
Seriously. Yeah. I didn't have one for a long time, but I still kept my vinyls just in case,
Oh yeah, vinyls are great. Well, obviously it's more tangible than MP3s and streaming stuff.
And the
and you
quality is nicer.
yeah, and there's something special about putting a vinyl down, putting the needle down, playing it, and you play the whole album through generally.
Oh, are there visuals I'm missing? I didn't see any. Uh-oh. Was everyone not able to see the video?
That'd be weird.
That
I
would
was
be
able
weird.
to see it in the YouTube
Yeah.
screen.
Oh, were you? Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Well, I don't
Maybe
understand.
there's like some kind of, maybe it's not necessarily real time like it is for us.
Huh.
I don't know. We'll have to go back.
Oh, yeah, I don't know, that could be.
Because that was a short clip, so it might have. I don't know. I don't know how all that works necessarily, so hard to say.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Vinyls are good for visual art too. Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, like there were so many layers to put art on
You
this
might want to
thing.
bring it a little bit. Your mic is blocking.
Oh yeah. Like this is just like the sleeve for the vinyl, not even the cover, and of course the comic book, which I thought was such a cool idea to like
That's
have a
cool.
comic book in a
Yeah.
vinyl, and like just kind of go along with the story.
What
And
did
now
that
there's a
cost
video
to
too.
press on all of that, with all that in color?
A lot.
I'm
A
going with
lot?
an on-demand printing company, luckily. Otherwise, it would have been thousands. Yeah, but
Thousands of, like, did they have a minimum of how many you had to press?
nope. Yeah, they'll do one-offs. After they make the master, it's not so hard.
That's the expensive part.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a lot of comments here about turntables.
I see.
Top
People
one
are geeking out about their turntables.
Yeah. Top one being why not? Money. Yes. Yeah. Vinyl's kind of expensive, but it's a treasure, in my opinion. And players are not necessarily expensive. I wouldn't necessarily go with one of the like Crosley ones. I'm not so sure about the needle on those. Like if that's going to be do more harm than good to your record collection.
Now, what do you guys think about vinyl versus CD? Like, there's no question it's better than both are better than MP3, but
Mm-hmm.
there's like a an argument between whether vinyl is a better sound than CD.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How about cassette? We can add that into the mix too, but because cassette actually is not as bad as people remember, because most of what people remember about cassettes is dubbed copies of things and copies of copies and whatnot, and using crappy tapes to record things, and like, well, actually cassette can sound almost as good as CD, if not equivalent. CD though, I think, is really good for portability, but
Mhm.
if you like at home playing, vinyl is always the better way to go. Obviously they tried back in the day, like car vinyl, like car turntables, and of course that's an impossible engineering challenge, but
Mm.
as
Yeah.
for portable like situations, although you also have mini disc as well, but that's basically uh you know digital audio, and what's MP2, I think, right? um
Hmm. We
yeah.
got a nice comment here from Corey. I still remember talking to Jeff on my birthday about his mental state. He killed himself the next day. I still replay those conversations in my mind. The visuals were playing. It looked amazing. Thanks for making this, Casey. It was a touching tribute to Jeff and memorializes him in a way he would love. Thanks for those kind words, Corey. And yeah, that. So, from my perspective, I told this story, and it really is cool to hear how his other friends experienced those final days and the days after and stuff. Because, we all had our own uh, perspective on that. And
I know he's pissed at me because I told his parents, but it was one I really felt that he was serious,
yeah,
that he was actually going to do this. It wasn't just for attention or anything, because he doesn't
yeah.
do stuff for attention. And there's a guy in this town that is like literally Jeff. I swear it's him. I'll
Oh,
get
wow.
a picture of him and I together sometime. But the dude looks exactly like Jeff would look at the beyond the age of 40. And I think he's maybe a year or two younger than me. But dark hair, glasses the same as Jeff, combs his hair the same as Jeff. And what blew my mind is when he had that damn T-shirt that Jeff used to wear all the time with Ozzy. It said, what did it say? He was holding a sign. It said "Back from
Hell.
Hell" or something like that.
No, it was like a hitchhiking thing, and it said hell, like in his.
Yeah, he used to wear that all the time, and I was like, "That's
Wow.
him."
Like, what are
You
the
know?
odds, dude? What are the odds?
Did he fake his death? Did I do this
Imagine.
album for nothing? God damn it.
We can bring him back with AI. People have AI girlfriends. Why not? Why don't we make Jeff back into an AI? I wish I had a sample of his voice. I know this sounds morbid, but people are doing it. They make
There was an episode of Black Mirror, I think, where they did something like that,
oh
like
yeah, yeah.
golems or something. Um,
Social credit score. I remember that one.
mm.
That episode of Black Mirror where you go and you can rate people that complete
Yeah.
strangers that you've met, but there's no privacy, so your phone will tell you everything you need to know about that person, and then you give them a score on a scale of 1 to 5, and everyone was superficially nice because they didn't want to get voted down.
Mm-hmm.
I know a guy
Mm.
with a social credit score because he if you are involved in business, like you have a business tax ID and stuff, one of those things that come along with it is a social credit score
Oh,
based
wow.
on the things that you've purchased, like the types of stocks that you've purchased can either raise your score or lower it. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Mm.
Oh, we have some comments here, like four new comments.
Oh, wow. Oh yeah, I didn't even see some of these. My argument to Jeff as to why he should stay alive was art. What about all of the art we could make and witness? That's why we should stay alive.
That's a
Fuck
compelling
yeah.
argument. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I think about this album, like how much work I put into it and stuff. Like it's now a legacy of mine, but you know, by extension, it's also my hope, a legacy for Jeff that if somebody hears this story, like listens to it, hears the story, and decides not to kill themselves, in Jeff's suicide note in that one song, he says, "How can one man make a significant yeah, difference?" And if this album does prevent a suicide, then Jeff prevented a suicide. He made a significant difference.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that
that's
would
my
be.
hope. Like
Mhm. That'd be amazing. Well, and also sometimes people who are going through difficult times, knowing that you're not alone is helpful.
yeah,
And it's like when you're sad, you listen to sad songs to make you feel better. That
yeah,
kind of thing. Hmm.
right. Well, yeah, like this shirt I'm wearing, Stabbing Westward, they tend to have very depressive songs and they've had fans come up to them and say, "You know what, your music saved my life." So
Mhm.
it does happen. It does work. Uh,
Yeah.
music is very important. Art in general is very important, you know.
Hmm. Absolutely. More
Uh, no,
comments.
oh, and yeah, another comment. The last time I saw him, it was the weekend before he killed himself. We went out to a nice Italian spot in West Seattle, and I tried to convince him to stay alive. Yeah, dude, we all made our best effort on that. For the first couple years, of course, I beat myself up like, no, I didn't do everything I could have. But I mean, when your mind's made up on something like that, short of strapping you down to a table and removing all your autonomy, like you're gonna do it eventually if you're so set on it, right?
Yeah.
So I've decided there was no point in like beating myself up over it.
Well, ultimately, it was his choice.
Yeah.
It's his life. It's his choice.
I mean, it was complicated because like he would talk to us about doing it. Like it's not like it came as a surprise one day. Oh my God, Jeff killed himself. Like he talked about it for like a year
Hmm.
to the point where it was so nonchalant that we couldn't tell if he was just making some morose joke at first.
Mhm.
And then, I don't know. It was probably a little different for everybody, but for me, like the telling point was when he started giving away all of his shit. Like he would dole it out
That's
to us,
yeah.
kind of like personally selected items of his that he knew that we would cherish. And I was like, that like he knows. Maybe he knows that we would give him his shit back when he says, "Hi, yeah, I totally punked you guys. Give me my shit back now." But I was like, "Yeah, but the odds of that, I don't think." I don't think
No.
anyone would go quite to those lengths for a practical joke.
No. No, definitely
So
not.
that's when I really knew it was serious.
Yeah. Will we have more comments? Will we have comments about the AI bringing people back to life? The danger with all the AI bringing people back to life is not the dead. It's oh wait, it's not to the dead. It's to the living. The mourning uh, for the living is a process and it's hard, but we need to do it and not avoid it. I'm afraid people will use the tech to avoid the hard work of mourning. Yeah, yeah, I could see that, but like maybe after that time has passed, and you're kind of over it, so to speak, that maybe you can reminisce in a way that you couldn't otherwise,
Yeah,
especially yeah, if you don't have any video of somebody at all, it'd be kind of nice. I mean, like at the end of the video that you did, Casey, that like that's that felt real.
yeah.
That was a
I,
very
I,
visceral experience there.
it looked super, super real.
Hmm.
BA, if you're able to watch that, I'm gonna go right now and make that video live for people and and link to it in the description and stuff. But yeah, the AI took a photo of Jeff and animated it to where like he was holding a knife up to himself, and oh man, that like shit looks so real.
Yeah.
Like
Well, and
I mean, people today would probably like if they don't know anything about the story would be like, oh, this is just a cell phone video somebody took, but those didn't exist back then.
mhm. Yeah, well, and you could colorize old black and white photos and uh, animate things that were never in motion in the past, and effectively bring somebody back to life. Which I got mixed feelings about, but I think it's ultimately a good thing. I think. And of course, we got more comments.
I'll let you take that. I'm gonna make this video.
Oh, there's a bunch of comments actually.
I think some of that's conversations between people, but
Yeah. Let's see if there's any things that are relevant here. Oh, there's a question like, what AI tools do you use, Casey?
okay. So for this video, I was utilizing Wondershare Filmora, and I don't know specifically what kind of like AI engine they're using, but whatever it is they offered for that purpose is what I was using for this. I didn't do a completely free version because I wanted it to be like kind of nice. So I did pay a little bit of money to make this video, but I didn't break the bank or anything. But and that's the thing. Like with AI, I feel like you get what you pay for, and so once I paid for it and gave it that picture of Jeff, I think it was like, okay, now I'll show you what I can do.
Nice. Oh, we have another comment here. In case it got lost in the conversation, it was an awesome presentation, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Who's that from?
Victoria?
Thank you, Victoria.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We've had quite a few technical difficulties putting all this live stream together.
Right. Yeah, but at least it ended up working out, and hopefully the sound quality was okay for everybody.
Yeah, we could tweak it, and we'll definitely do stuff like this again, I think.
Yeah, that would be cool, especially if we do like a prequel for the album.
Yep, which we
Yeah,
will.
like the story of Dr. Preim or something.
Well, you can make it maybe a sequel, and I can get the guy here to star as Jeff because he looks just like him. But yeah, I'll send you guys a photo
There
of
you
him
go.
sometime because it's crazy, man. Like there was a guy that I saw the other day that looks identical to my brother too, my older brother. Literally
Oh, wow.
just like him. He dresses like him, wears the same kind of clothes, talks about the same stuff. He's exactly the same age. It's crazy.
But I wonder if there's actual doppelgangers out there, because there are people, friends of mine, who insist that in the past, they insisted they saw me driving around, and I'm like, I was at home. I didn't even drive that day. And they were like, no, you were in the Safeway parking lot. And I'm like, no, I wasn't. And they're like, you even have the same car. You're wearing the same glasses. And I'm like, no. So I wonder, is it possible that there could be doppelgangers out there?
I've
Yeah,
got a
I saw
doppelganger.
somebody driving around. I'm at a stoplight, pulls out this big electric gun, just like the one that you have, with all the lights and crap on it, and the ray gun that you have, and you tried to tell me that it's not you? Huh? Only you have that gun.
Yeah, I
think it was
wonder.
cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you haven't seen the discombobulator.
You got it?
It's a little electronic light and sound thing that I built. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Oh,
I'm lucky I met my doppelganger in middle school. Whoa. Sure it wasn't a long lost twin?
that could be.
That shit
Well,
happens.
yeah, I wonder. Well, and then you know, this kind of points to like, well, maybe we are living in a simulation, right? It's like somebody, it just for the sake of brevity, they copy and paste a few people into the game. Like, oh yeah. And then the question would be, how do you know if you're an actual player or an NPC?
Well, I think, Shane, don't you remember seeing my doppelganger quite often in Tacoma back in the day? Like, even had the same kind of van that I.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, that dude
That's
was
weird.
literally you. You know, and it was always that we always had our eyes out for vans like yours, right? Because we used to play the game, the GMC game and stuff. And I'd see it all the time. You swear it's not you. It's like your ghost driving that van around and tipping over trash cans.
Wasn't there one time you were on a bus and you saw my van coming? It was actually me, and we passed and you said the bus driver was like training a new guy or something. Do you remember that?
Um,
You told me he was
like
like he said to the trainee, he was like, "You see that van? You see that van? You get out of its way." Like, like
Well, I thought I remembered the guy saying something like, "You see that van over there? There used to be fire in the back of that van." He's just like this creepy old man that was trying to basically tell us that your van was
possessed.
possessed. Yeah, like I swear there have been times I've been at a red light and I look over to my left and see the person in the vehicle in the same vehicle that I'm driving, and it's me. It's me driving. I've had that happen to my wife also. Like a mirror image of me in the car next to me. And like my wife, I remember a four-way stop, and I see her turning at a four-way stop. And every other car at the four-way stop was her also. Same vehicle, and it was her. And I look in my rear view mirror, and it's her.
Well, we are living in a simulation. Actually, I would say to anybody who disagrees, prove that we're not living in a simulation.
Yeah, that's where they can't prove otherwise. It'd be impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear there is some things about it that you could also say that maybe it's not a simulation in the sense of like how we think about a video game simulation, but one that's already a future that's already been written, and we're following along a timeline, and some people already know what's going to happen.
Well, yeah, and it may not necessarily be running on a computer as we would contemporarily think, but some kind of galactic or I don't know, some other sort of system.
Well, like a time traveler coming back to tell us about the future kind of is in a sense a simulation that we're acting out our inevitable roles for how we're going to be in the future and how the future is going to turn out, and there's nothing you can do to stop it.
Well, if you really want to mind fuck, look up the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment, or it's an extension of the double slit experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
there are explanations for that, but it is weird. And the more into quantum mechanics and quantum physics you get, the more weird everything gets.
Yeah, I remember reading about that. That's crazy stuff. The more that we go along, I start to believe in stuff like that a little bit more. That sometimes it doesn't seem like it's a coincidence. It kind of seems like we are on a timeline.
There are definitely like situations that are just, you know, as a skeptical person, like a atheist and everything, even there's even moments where I'm like, wow, that just seems like too fucking weird, that all that shit like happened in that order and where exactly, and that I happen to be here to see it or whatever. Of course that can all happen, like, statistically speaking, you know, as much as anything else could happen within the boundaries of physics, let's say.
Yeah.
Um, but still, like we're pattern seeking creatures, and so we see stuff like that happen, and we tend to remember those. They stand out, so it feels like the more often we see those things, the more it leads to this grand Matrix story or something. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I'm skeptic. I'm a skeptic as well, and I like, people would point to, oh, I was thinking of a song the other day, and I got in my car and started it up, and it was playing on the radio. Or you're thinking of a person, and then they text you or call you immediately after that. Well, okay, but yeah, that's, I guess, seemingly significant, but how many times do you think of a song or a person and they don't call you or the song doesn't play? So I don't know, but
Well,
there's
the
definitely a
radio
lot
thing, I think I can explain that actually,
Mhm.
because when I was a teenager, I was sitting in my room and I'd, you know, get a song in my head sometimes and turn the radio on, and there's a song like to the exact moment that it was playing in my head.
Yeah.
And thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Corey, for joining. Good
See
to see you
y'all.
guys. Yeah, but like eventually in the summer, I had my fan going, right, and it was oscillating, and then like every time it would point toward me, I could audibly hear music very faintly whenever the fan was directed at my ear. And then I went and stood in front of the fan and like turned it off, the oscillation, and just stood there with it in my face, and I could hear the radio, and I went and turned the radio on, and it was the song, and I was like, "Oh wait, like maybe the sound waves are actually somewhat detectable."
Well, it does make
the
sense because
limitations.
our brains like are receptive to electromagnetic fields and signals and things, and of course radio waves are
Yeah.
that. So
And the radio is tuned to what it's tuned to, and if you're standing between it, and I don't know, it's possible.
Well,
right?
I don't really believe in like, the paranormal and the UFOs and stuff like that in the sense that most people believe in it. It is more to me like the limitations of our mind, the filter in our mind.
are you taking us into the bathroom with you?
No.
What's that sound?
Oh, fine. If you guys are gonna call me out, I'll just like not put you on mute then.
No, I want you to continue. In fact, it's actually kind of appropriate, like to be taking a piss and talking about what you were talking about. Carry on.
So it's more like to me, it's more like a fourth dimension. So just like imagine, we have three primary colors, RGB. But what if there's a fourth or a fifth that we can't see because our minds can't comprehend it? We kind of share a timeline with it, things that we don't know that exists because our minds can't comprehend it. But if you can comprehend little bits and pieces of it, that might explain why some people can see certain things that others can't.
Well,
I mean, I've seen weird stuff that has happened.
Same
there's
here.
always kind of a
Infrared and ultraviolet.
well,
and
yeah,
there
yeah.
are-
So it's a matter of perception. Like we are able. I love the divergence that this video is taken. It's fun. It's like an after hours party or something. But we do have the means to perceive to a limited extent certain things, like UV and infrared and stuff, and polarized light. Human beings can actually detect that very subtly. But there's who knows what else we can subtly detect. Gravitational variation or magnetic fields. There's a lot of stuff. And they say the five senses, but we don't have five senses. We have a lot more than that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're more like in your subconscious mind. You don't realize that they're there.
Yeah, which maybe a long time ago, they could be a latent capability that maybe made sense thousands, tens of thousands of years ago, our ancestors. But now, of course, we've evolved to not really need to see those things or perceive those things, and they're still present, but just kind of in the background. I mean, even how many times have you been sitting in a public place or whatever, just being in public, and you feel like somebody's watching you, and you turn around and somebody is?
Oh yeah, yeah. That is a sense. You're picking up on that, but you can't scientifically explain it. Really, we don't have like that kind of tech that can look at a lot of things that you literally can't see or feel, or and everyone's going to be is. So here's an example, I guess, of what I was talking about. I remember, and I'm not the only one that have had stories about like psychedelic trips and stuff where you're sitting there and you're watching a movie that nobody's ever seen before, and you can see the next scene happening before it happens. And everyone in the room, like if you got 10 people with you, you're all seeing the next scene before it happens. And then you can go back the next day and you can all have the same story of what you saw, whether it be in the film or like something you saw in your backyard. Everyone saw the same thing. So it's one thing, like if we all had a different experience, but if we all had the same exact experience and we wrote it down and we talked about it the next day, it gets really hard to explain that kind of stuff scientifically, but one way that you can explain kind of similar experiences, like say the afterlife, when, people often say they saw a light, or they had this, some kind of feeling that they're levitating or something like that. People have had similar experiences, but what we know scientifically is like DMT is released just before you die. And that might be the kind of psychedelic experience that people are having before they die, where they think that they're going to heaven or hell or whatever it is.
Right.
Because that be
I've wondered if it has something to do with, like, how when you're thinking about something right before you fall asleep, you tend to dream about it. And I thought, like, maybe if people feel like their body's shutting down and they have this whatever belief, in heaven and hell, let's say, and they kind of sit there and judge themselves in that moment. Did I have a good life? Did I have a bad life? Maybe in that moment, the hallucinatory images begin to get created. And, when you're dreaming, time is way different than the actual
in your
passage of
dream,
time.
years go by, but it was really just a couple seconds.
When you're dreaming, there is no such thing as time.
Right.
That's the thing.
And time here on Earth is different from time in outer space or outside of this planet. So, when we're talking
we have
about
some comments too, so we should probably look at those as well.
But why do people always see their own expectation? Christians aren't going to Valhalla. Yeah.
Well, I would say that there is a common thread with near death or death type experiences, but I think people, depending on what you expect, that does change the way you interpret what you experience. So, because I've always thought like a lot of these commonalities are the product of the coding or wiring within our minds. And it could even be that maybe there is a soul, right? Some 4-dimensional, 5th dimensional being that is us, and our brain is just like uh like the communication device, a transceiver that connects to that, which would maybe explain some things. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do I know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting though how it is kind of like we're trying to weigh between what's stored in our minds as like an imaginary belief, because we have imaginary beliefs of what the pearly gates look like, right?
Mhm.
Or seeing a messiah with a beard and long hair and things like that. But these are, you know, implanted ideas that humans have put in our minds, but
Yeah,
it
they're
wasn't.
constructed. Yeah.
Yeah. And and then when something like DMT is released, or you have some kind of psychedelic experience, how everyone has the same experience for something that they haven't had exposure to, that's where it gets weird, because it's not like
Yes.
an implanted memory that because the story about an afterlife, an out of body experience, and people telling kind of the same story kind of sounds a lot like everyone's similar perception of what the afterlife would look like.
Well,
You
and
know?
you do have like across cultures and the vastness of time, um, there's a hell of a lot of similarities there, and it's just a matter of the way people perceive those things. And I think there's a lot of unknowns that human beings, we love to figure out how or why things work and stuff. Um, and so if there's an unknown, we'll just kind of fill in the blanks, I guess, with whatever culture we have. And that's kind of, I guess that goes to my theory on UAPs and UFOs and stuff. Like, it is an actual phenomenon that is occurring, but I don't think it's aliens. That's
Right. That's
my
kind of what
opinion.
I feel also, because I think that by now, especially as many sightings as there has been, especially sightings from the military, that they would have shot it down to study it, see
Hmm.
what it is. But because, I mean, they're not they're not always really like the military is not, they'll shoot stuff down. It's not about their concern about, maybe they're shooting down, a human. If they think it's a threat, they'll shoot it. But they've never done that in a way where we can't study anything with tangible evidence. It's just a video that's grainy, that, maybe there had been a lot of witnesses, but I kind of feel it's not like an alien thing. It's not like something from outer space, but something that is a phenomenon that we haven't been able to explain it scientifically, or I think
Well,
it kind of more stems from maybe another dimension and
I
part
would
of
agree.
our mind that we don't really understand.
Well, and it's a phenomenon that's not new. If you look back through historical texts and things like that, basically the same stuff has been going on for millennia, if not more. Throughout recorded history, shall we say, people have seen basically the same things we've seen today. And I would throw ghosts and paranormal stuff into the same bucket of like interdimensional something or other. I honestly don't know what it is. But yeah, I
Well,
would
this
I
is
would be
a good comment here. We're going to have to legally decide if consciousness is separate from life. Um, and that's, a good point, because like the definition of death has changed over the years, you know. Like it used to be
well.
just you stop breathing and then it's your heart stops and then it's your brain stops. So
Well, I think Victoria's comment on that, because she's saying like the singularity will be in trouble if we get it wrong. So this is dealing with AI consciousness too,
uh-huh.
man-made consciousness. Like, I agree, that's a big deal. Like, we need
Yeah.
to figure that out before that happens, right?
Yeah.
um, how are we going to deal with that? Because I mean, most people would agree. I think almost everybody, human consciousness and stuff like that has value. But what about artificial intelligence consciousness? Because it's coming
Mhm.
if it isn't
Well,
already here.
And then if we're rushing to, give personhood to an artificially created computer program, why aren't we doing this with animals and treating them the way that we do?
Oh, that's a good yes. That oh Jesus. Well, man,
Yeah.
that's deep.
Yeah.
I'm no PETA guy, but like at the
No, but
same time, like there's you got to be like respectful to the animals too. Like,
absolutely, yeah, to nature and things for sure.
mhm.
Man,
AGI, I think the code is already written for that, but for it to be widely used, it's just a matter of waiting for like CPU processing power to get caught up with more quantum computers. Once there's more of them, so quantum computers is like turntable physics. It's ridiculous. Like you can't come anywhere near it, and it'll lose its quantum state. We work with the Cleveland Clinic that has one. That damn thing. I mean, what it can get done in 5 minutes, it would probably be like 5 days on conventional servers. But keeping it in a quantum state means it's got to be housed in a big warehouse like building. It's a gigantic computer that you can't have any Wi-Fi coming near it, Bluetooth, nothing. And you can't, it's got to be perfectly still. And once they can get around those limitations and keep it going in its quantum state for a longer period of time, then maybe at something like AGI will be more of a mainstream reality that you can put it into robotics, to clean your house, to mow your lawn, to do things that
Hmm.
humans don't want to do. Go to work for you, and basically your only role as a human is just getting up and plugging in the machine. It goes and does
so
stuff for
Well,
you.
theoretically frees you up for art too.
so maybe hopefully not like a Wall-E future, right? Um, well, so I would imagine quantum computers are probably affected by neutrino interactions, which would be an issue. But I'll say I don't want to see the day when quantum computers become mainstream, because at that point, encryption is dead.
Yeah, it will. Well, encryption, and also it can write its own code base that only it can understand, and no human would be able to write its way out of it. It can really just kind of take over at that point. Quantum computers also are huge resource hogs. I don't know where they're going to get all the energy to power them. We have them here in
Nuclear
this
power,
city.
that's where.
Yeah. Well, so we have the river that powers XAI. They are interested in being in this region because of the amount of energy that we can create here. And I guess Tennessee is a state that has some of the lowest hydro bills in the country. And they can, so Nvidia's here, XAI, I think Intel is here, IBM. There's a couple others. They just keep building data centers all around in this region.
Hmm.
And there will be nuclear power plants to generate energy for those data centers. But I can kind of see this more across the board in like all 50 states. Data centers just like everywhere.
Well,
And right now, though,
if
it's going to be
it
hard.
if data centers push forward our future of shifting more towards nuclear power than anything else, I think that's a good thing. I mean, not for data centers, but just nuclear power to power everything else, rather than all this other stuff, pie in the sky things like, oh, solar farms and wind farms, which are great in a small scale, but you're not going to power the world with that. Nuclear power is the only thing that could possibly do that, and it's the cleanest,
Yeah.
safest form of energy there is.
It takes up too much land for
Nuclear?
not good enough results.
Nuclear does?
No, I mean wind and solar farms and things like that. It's just like that technology has. I think it can't really be improved that much to make it anywhere close to what you can get out of nuclear.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it comes with some issues like solar, of course. The sun has to be shining, and the panels have to be clean. The wind has to be blowing. And yeah, you're right. It takes up a huge amount of real estate to be able to generate the kind of power that's needed. Whereas there's a fairly small footprint for nuclear power, and there's like modular, small truck portable nuclear power plants now. So yeah, you could plop that down anywhere, and I'd like to see that. Crazy how this conversation is gone, but it's all. I think it's connected. This is what we do, the after hours conversation.
Yep. Wow. Yeah, that went in an interesting direction. How did that start even? Like there was like doppelgangers and then like
I think
death and
it went from doppelgangers to like woo stuff.
Yeah.
So that kind of just a natural.
Well, it went from like Jeff recreating Jeff and AI.
Oh, you're right.
The conversation about AI and what it can do and its limitations and all that stuff. But it'll have less limitations in the not so distant future. But there was a big announcement at Google that they laid off, I think it was 20,000 employees because they didn't need them anymore because they had basically an AI bot that can replace 20,000 human workers. Well, and then basically it's just absorbed by one or two people, maybe just a small team of people to manage the output of that bot and but
I feel like that'll go terribly wrong.
Vulnerable, because to lose their jobs to AI. Because I get the code out of it now that is I don't have to tinker with it as much anymore. And if it gets to the point where you can give it like full control over your computer, it can write the pathing and all that stuff for you. And you don't really have to tinker with it like hardly at all. I used to have to wrestle with it quite a bit. The early versions of AI code, it was not that good, but it's gotten a lot better.
Oh yeah. Well, I think we're slowly. Well, we're actually on. I suppose on the horizon is a post-scarcity world, and I'd like to see that. I think that'll be a good thing. And so it's like, well, yeah, there's a lot of things that you could be afraid of, losing jobs and whatnot, AI taking over and stuff. Well, okay, but on the positive side is post-scarcity, where resources are nigh limitless. That I think that would be a good thing, right?
The only hurdle then is taking those resources, those necessary resources at least, and getting them on the other side of the paywall.
Well, yeah, to the point where pay is not even a factor at that point,
right?
To where it's basically free.
Yeah,
and so like that's why I'm a huge fan of open source and DIY and stuff. Like if you can do it yourself, you don't need to pay anybody. You don't need to ask permission for anything. You just do it. And
functionally, we are post-scarce society. Like we could actually practically provide for every human being on this earth. And
of course,
and doesn't even matter like where they are. Like we could make it happen if that was our goal.
Well,
like
and
we could bring an oasis to the desert. We could do pretty much anything. I mean, if people are actually living in Antarctica,
a lot of people,
then I think we can do shit in the deserts and stuff. But
exactly. And so I mean, it's like back in like the 30s, we could have had flying cars. Why did we not? Because change is difficult. right? And people are stuck in their ways, or maybe they can't perceive a future the way that it could be, and so it takes time.
Yeah.
So I'm patient. I'm willing to wait until things change. It's just I have a lot of hope for the future.
Well, it's like those the car companies have done studies to find that their concept cars, they can't sell them, they can't mass produce them because they're afraid that as soon as the public sees them, they'll automatically associate that with like a high price tag and they can't afford it, or that it's ugly, or people like futuristic designs aren't really appealing to most people anyway. I might like them, but most people don't. And the concept cars were never built, but they might you might see some design inspiration some 30 years later. So those cycles of getting humans to accept those kind of changes takes decades.
If not
And
hundreds of years
yeah,
in
oh
some
yeah,
cases.
Well, I
yeah,
mean, cars haven't really changed that much, like functionally speaking.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
In fact,
they,
you know what?
they're still combustion engines for the most part, and
Well,
like,
here's the funny thing. Like people now are like, oh, we should be moving to electric cars. Well, I got news for you. The first cars were electric cars. The very first cars were electric. Combustion came later when oil got cheap. And people were like, oh, yeah, we get more horsepower out of this and a smaller engine. We don't need batteries and all that. But yeah, the very first cars that existed were electric.
that was the whole crank thing, right?
No, the crank was to turn over the engine. No, they had batteries in them, and they were like a carriage basically back in the day, because it was an evolution from horse-drawn carriages. But yeah, the very first cars were electric, battery-powered cars, which
yeah.
was wild.
It's just about like money in a lot of cases, and the energy like that it would take to have like a flying car, for example. Back to the Future predicted flying cars, and people would say, well, we didn't have flying cars in 2015. We had the technology, we just didn't mass produce them because of how expensive it would be, and because of laws, or concerns over flying car crashing into your house or something like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah. And now, of course, we have drones. We can make drones that could be a car, essentially, like
yeah,
quadcopter,
that's pretty much
octocopter.
your flying
What-
car right there. Yeah.
But the thing is, you're not just up against rules and regulations and governments or economic things. You're also dealing with the public. The public has to accept it and adopt it, and you can't
Yeah.
force that. You can't be like, oh, this is technically better, therefore everybody should have it. Like, that isn't going to work. People just have to naturally gravitate towards something enough that people want it, and economies of scale when it comes to production. And so I don't know, but I do see things moving in a positive direction, albeit very slowly, slower than it should. But that is a factor too. So basically, you have to convince people that this is the thing that you should be doing.
Yeah, because it's something that I could see attempts to influence people to get into a certain mindset, of a big change, So one of those things I could see coming down the road is cyborgs.
Mhm.
And because I keep seeing more and more of what you can do with prosthetic limbs.
Oh, now we're coming full circle back to the album.
Yeah, I was going to add
Yeah.
genetic modification as well, like CRISPR
Yeah.
stuff.
Neuro implants.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well,
And
this is super cool. You guys heard of CRISPR, right?
I just said CRISPR. Yeah.
Yeah, like for the last 10 years, it's been like a thing, and they just did like an experiment in mice where they could remove
turn
an
off
entire
your
chromosome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Down syndrome could actually be prevented.
Well, there's also
before the kid's born.
aging. Halting aging is another thing that has been experimented with. So that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
And in that too, actually, well, this is tied in. I do have to use the head at some point in time, but I want to bring this idea up. It's like, okay, if you could halt aging, let's say either you stay the same age you are physically, or you de-age to some extent to like your 20s, and that's where you stay. Would you do it? And how long would you want to really be alive?
Right. I I think on a practical scale, it would be a lot of like swapping out parts, basically. Like,
Yeah, like
regrow a
you
liver
3D
or
print your
yeah,
liver. Yeah, you can 3D print pretty much anything, any one of
yeah.
your limbs, and you
But
just
yeah,
replace
the
parts
combination
like you
between
replace a car parts.
3D printing and stem cells, I think they've successfully like created a heart or something
That's going to be such
a
a
number of years
weird
ago.
future, dude. Like,
Yeah, but I mean, like, super cool.
it is.
But as far as your question to like, how long would I want to live? Um, I guess I just play it by ear, you know.
Yeah.
Like at some point you probably get bored or, just maybe even depressed, like and you just don't want to be alive anymore.
Well, and
You've
I guess it
seen
depends
enough,
on,
you've experienced everything you want to experience, and every day is just like the day before it. And like I think as humans, like we're all prone to that, to get bored at some point. I
yeah.
mean
And I think,
that
Yeah,
actually
and
was Jeff's complaint. Was that
immortality to me is morbid.
mhm. Yeah, like he just kind of was bored and numb, like um
and I suppose after, if you were living for hundreds of years, you'd probably get to that point and you'd be like, all right,
yeah,
well, it's time to just switch that off and age and die as humans are supposed to,
right.
essentially.
And
Uh,
then at that point with the available technology, is doing that considered suicide?
oh, well, no, I
Oh my
guess it would.
God, he's letting himself die naturally.
He's
That's
letting himself
suicide,
go. Yeah.
That okay? Now that's a premise for a movie, dude.
right?
That is that. Yeah, that's like some Logan's Run stuff right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh
if
wow, they
they
grew a human embryo from stem cells too. Ooh,
the
that
the
sounds like
3D
an
printed
ethical
limbs,
quandary.
I I wonder like the tissue density if they could ever get it as good as like a real set of lungs.
Talking
And
about the 3D printing thing,
yeah. And well,
that would
okay, so
be
if it's not as good, then probably what it'll be is like you have to get it. If you got a 3D printed set of lungs, that you would have to get it replaced like every 5 years or something.
well. Okay, so with the 3D printing organ stuff, like you can't just 3D print it. You have to combine stem cells to kind of like harvest growth of actual
Right.
tissue,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So I think what you would do in a situation with something like lungs, anyway, is just build a scaffolding for the lung to grow and maybe make it out of some kind of substrate that just naturally dissolves and is expelled by the body or whatever. Because
Or like a
how do you
substance.
then get the scaffolding out of the very delicate lung? Like that would be
Yeah.
crazy.
Well,
Um,
have you heard of like nanobots to
mhm.
go in and repair organs and do things inside your body that would otherwise require surgery. I think the goal is probably to be able to do it chemically. You take a substance, you get an injection of something that it can go in there and like repair tissue, or add density to your lung tissue. And probably nanobots would probably be more that'd probably be more practical than taking a medication for it or something, or
Yeah,
having to have your lungs renewed every 5 years.
right. Well, and the other problem with stem cells is that, uh, unless you're lucky enough to be able to use your own, you will need immunosuppressants for the rest of your life. Um, like if you have it from a donor, for instance. Uh, but I mean, like you already have that problem, of course, with just a straight up lung transplant or whatever,
Yeah.
So it's not like that's a unique problem to be tackled, but I fully expect that at some point they'll find a way around that, like probably with CRISPR, like reprogramming the body to be like, okay, this is actually okay, stop attacking it. You know, I feel like
Yeah,
that might be
probably.
possible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Down syndrome thing, the interesting thing in that article was they said it might even have therapeutic applications,
Hmm.
like as in like not just fixing it in the embryo, but possibly alleviating some of the symptoms in adults or children. Obviously, like the stuff that has been already affected in development, like the different facial features and stuff like that, they're not going to reverse themselves because in the biological timeline that ship sailed.
Yeah, but you could quality of life improvements
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah. Like the shortened lifespan of 40 years or so, something like that might be what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even the cognitive difficulties and stuff. Yeah, it's a crazy future we're heading towards.
I know. It's wow, incredible. I'm just I can't wait to see what comes next, I guess.
Yep.
Hmm.
Well,
Well, I
it's
think
getting
we're
late here. I might jump off. I don't know about you guys, but
yeah, I got things I got to do. So I mean, we're in it about 1 3/4 hour. So
oh yeah,
I think we've. I mean, the whole point was the album.
yeah,
So we've gone the album plus plus now.
yep.
Hmm.
Album plus a typical show. Yep.
Yeah, so you basically get a free episode on top of it. How about that? Hmm.
Oh, you're muted. I think.
Sorry. Do you have somewhere you could stream the whole video of just
Yes.
the album, not our
Yep.
commentary, but yeah.
Yep. I put that in the description
Cool.
of this episode. Also in the live chat somewhere.
Your images were they mostly like stock images, or would you have?
I think a lot of it was stock,
video?
but then, of course, like things like skulls and stuff like that were AI generated, of course.
And of course, you had your own video that you created yourself.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, it was definitely like an AI assisted video creation, but I mean, I compiled the whole thing at least. So yeah.
It was good. It was really
Yeah.
good.
Well,
Good album, good video.
thank you. Well, now go put your money where your mouth is and
What I liked best about it is that I always feel like music videos need to look like surreal and artificial, like how they were in the 80s. And there was
Mhm.
lots of creativity in the music videos of the early 80s. And they didn't have like a lot of tools to work with either.
A
Then
lot
it
of it was
started
just
to
film.
Yeah.
film and yeah, overlays and effects and lighting. And they over time they made videos to make them more cinematic, to be more lifelike in like movies, and which is sort of where I think it kind of lost its appeal a little bit. Like it wasn't as fun as they became
I,
more
I agree.
lifelike.
I agree that the cinematic aspect certainly kind of for certain. Well, I would say a music video should look like the song sounds, I guess.
Mhm.
So it doesn't have to necessarily be surreal. If it could be whatever, but it should look like the song sounds. And yeah, some music videos do fit with the cinematic side of things. Like, there's a lot of them where there's a little intro that isn't the song, and then it goes into the song and maybe ends with a little bit of intro or outro. And that's fine, but it became the norm to where literally every music video was like a little movie. And I don't think that
Yeah.
fits every type of music.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, the budget is another factor. Some of the stuff is the budgets are too big. And going back to a previous comment way back in the way back, working within the confines of limitations, I think you produce a better quality product or something that's more, I don't know, it has a certain characteristic to it that's appealing. And if you have a huge budget, then you end up trying to fill that budget, which doesn't necessarily make the video better. And same thing with movies. Some of the
Not
best
only
movies,
that, like, you know, like the limitations are what drive the innovation and creativity.
yeah,
You know, so like you can see and feel and hear, you know, the creativity in finished product, whereas like if there's this limitless budget, they're just like, I'll make something cool with CGI and then make it go do
yeah.
and
Well,
yeah, call it good, you know.
the same applies with movies. One of my favorite Fantastic Four movies is the Roger Corman version, which never aired. Like it was made for a particular purpose, basically to carry on license ownership. It had a $2 million budget and was awesome. Yet you see some of the huge budget, 100 million, hundreds of millions of dollars for new Fantastic Four stuff, and it's kind of trash.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have that. It's almost like there you can feel in the Roger Corman Fantastic Four, you can feel the love of the craft. Like everybody was putting everything they had into it. They didn't have a whole lot to go with, but they did the best that they could with what they had, and it turned out great. You can feel it.
Yeah, it's
the original Star
movies.
Wars is another one. Yeah, yep, exactly. Compare the 4, 5, and 6 with you know the prequel trilogy. No comparison, in my opinion.
Well, back then they had to build stuff too to put in to put in the movie. They had to build things. Things literally had to blow up sometimes, and that made it a little bit more realistic in that sense. That then the CGI came around and you didn't really have to build anything anymore. But now people are kind of they're more interested in, you know, something that they do build and they do destroy and they, you know,
and practical effects.
Yeah,
and things.
We've got CGI fatigue, I think, and AI fatigue, but
Sure,
it's
one thing.
at.
Oh, I was going to say a good example of like crafting a novel thing out of the ether, essentially, like doing it for the first time. The movie Tron. That was because you were talking about CGI. That was the kind of one of the first full-length movies that used CGI extensively, and they were doing things that had never been done before. In fact, the people designing things, they had to put things into one computer and print it out on paper and carry it over to another room where people input stuff to be rendered. And it had never been done before. And some of the matting that they did because the scenes with the people with, you know, the all the costuming that they had with the glowing stuff, that was hand matting. People cut negatives by hand to pass light through. Like that hadn't really been done before.
Yeah. That was a hard one to top. And when they made a sequel to it, people thought that they should probably take it up to, you know, the next level in visual appeal and things like that. And it's just like you can't really. At that point, so many other things have been done in film, you know, with CGI and stuff, and it was. They're going to make another one. They're going to make another Tron movie. I think they've already started filming it, but there's a problem with one of the actors that I think is the lead actor, and he's in trouble for something. So I don't know if it's going to come out.
Yeah.
or they might have to write him out of the movie or something. I don't know.
Like talking about CGI, and how things have changed. So the 80s version of The Thing, which is such a great movie. Um, so they, of course, that was remade fairly recently, and everybody involved in the project wanted to do practical effects like they did in the one in the 80s, but the studio executives, they're like, oh no, that's too expensive, too time consuming, we're just going to CGI it. And well, what do you know, it looks like shit. Like the 80s one looks better than the one that just came out not that long ago. So it's
Felt that way about the Terminator movie, the first one, and how they dramatized it with the visuals of the future. Kind of seemed to be more terrifying to me and more believable than what they've done in more recent films. And they had to kind of animate those robots to walk the way they did, and had to, they pretty much did it all in a studio, which is, if you saw how it was made, it probably would ruin the movie for you, but it just looked cooler. It looked better. I don't know. I never really got into CGI that much.
Practical effects always have, they tend to look better. CGI, so a good example of a proper use of CGI in filmmaking would be Starship Troopers. It was half practical effects and half CGI, and it's still to this day. I can't remember when that came out in the 90s.
95?
Yeah, to this day,
yeah,
still looks better than like the stuff that Marvel's churning out.
Oh, 100%. Because Verhoeven's a very creative director, and that's what is lacking. I think they have too many tools. And you don't really have to have a director that's all that creative. They just compile the movie,
Well,
but
and
they don't have a vision.
So they used practical effects almost everywhere, but they basically kind of enhanced the practical effects with CGI. So it wasn't like a whole scene was made with CGI. Like the ships you see and the bugs and stuff, they're half CGI, half practical, and it looks great. It's like, oh, that fixes the problems of practical effects perfectly. But then people, I guess, they saw that and they're like, oh yeah, well, why don't we just go all in and do everything CGI?
Well, you know about
they did too.
Yes, Unendliche Geschichte. The never-ending story was actually like a German movie, like made in Germany, not a Hollywood thing, and they did all that cool shit on like a super tight budget.
Yeah.
Puppets and everything. And
I would see, this is what I'd love to see. And I know we've deviated quite a bit, but I would love to see, back in the 70s when a lot of the movie studios were they were hemorrhaging money because the budgets were so huge. Their solution was, okay, well, instead of making just a handful of big budget movies, we're going to take our amount of money and we're going to divvy it up and give it to smaller independent production crews to make like a low budget movie. Like we're going to give them a budget of $500,000 or $1 million. And yeah, there were a bunch of shit movies in the 70s and 80s and stuff, but there were also some really good ones. And I'd like to see that come back, I think, because if you look out there, there are so many good indie production companies. They are amazing. Just in sci-fi, there's a YouTube channel called Dust that has indie short films and stuff. And oh my God, some of those rival the best of the best when it comes like the big budget ones.
Yeah. Like if you can like take a storyline and allow people to make their own film off of that story, you'd have 30 different movies of the same story, and people can weigh which one they think is the best, because you'll have probably like a fan made movie that is a sequel would probably turn out better than what Hollywood could do, because Hollywood's always trying to they hate to look back. They're making a movie that's that already stems from something in the past, and they want to modernize everything. And you know, it kind of, I think they're starting to learn that that doesn't always work. I was watching the new
It rarely works.
yeah, it's that's why sequels are always terrible, because they're always trying to, you know, modernize it somehow. And they made that Beverly Hills Cop movie on Netflix
Mhm.
that I think turned out really good, because they used all the same songs that came from the original movies.
Hmm.
And Harold Faltermeyer was on the soundtrack and had the same spirit as the first two movies. And they've learned how to direct the way Tony Scott did, uh, with, you know, with his backlighting and all that stuff. And I think it turned out really good, because they didn't try to reinvent the wheel and really introduce, you know, anything too modern in it and change things up. And you can figure out a way to do that, but only a fan would really know how to do that, you know?
You know,
Oh,
they're making a
absolutely.
He-Man movie, right? Like a live action
Are
He-Man.
they doing a new one?
Mm-hmm.
Is it,
And I was thinking like, oh, great. Now there's all this technology and everything where they could actually have it take place on Eternia and it would look pretty sweet.
yeah.
No, they're gonna do it on Earth again.
Oh,
God.
that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I did a minute microscopy back in the day, talking about movie remakes, and my point was, why remake the good movie?
Are you saying hi?
Remake the bad
Yourself
movie.
on the telly.
So
Hey.
Corey here. You see yourself on the telly. It didn't pan over to us. Oh, there's a little bit of delay. I'm watching this on YouTube. Yeah, there she is. There you are. Jeez.
well,
Jeez.
yeah, I should get around to jumping off because
Yeah.
I have language classes in the mornings. So.
Yeah, I got to get to work on some things, and before it gets too hot outside. So,
Yeah.
all right, this has been fun.
All right.
Been
Well,
really
thanks for
good.
joining and
Yeah, good talking to you guys again.
Yeah.
and thanks everyone for clicking below and sending me your money. Oh, I don't think anyone did that yet. All right,
They
fuck
will.
you then.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys
All
later.
right, guys.
All right. See you later.